Hello, everyone, and welcome to OCR's chat room. Today, we will be celebrating our Hispanic Heritage Month. I am so excited to have our first guest. Today, we're going to chat with Brigitta Taruno, and I hope I'm saying it correctly, Brigitta. She is the CEO and founder of Uno Translations and Communication LLC. Brigitta, am I saying it correctly?
You're very close. It's Brigitta, but it's
Brigitta.
fine. However you say it, I will answer to it.
Brigitta, thank you. With my little Southern slang, I'm going to work with it. Thank you
No
for
problem.
working with me.
Yes.
Brigitta has a true passion for communication, and in Uno considers itself a logistic partner to companies, not only offering translation services in more than 200 languages, but also consulting with companies on international cultural business issues. While researching Brigitta, I got it. Communication is important. Brigitta's bio, I was inspired to learn that she has recently launched her new endeavor, Uno Souls. Uno Souls are a beacon and light in the communities, performing true acts of kindness. Uno Soul Chats honors these outstanding people. Brigitta, Brigitta hopes that her chats give people listening ideas about ways to cope with difficult times. And we all know that's important during the COVID times that we're living in right now, as well as everyday life. She wants people to know that they are not alone, and it's inspiring to hear their stories. So today I want to thank you for being here with us. And I want to open the chat room to to hear your story. I would love for you to share your story with us.
Hello, Sylvia. Thank you so much for having me. It's such an honor to be here and to be having a chat with you about Hispanic Heritage Month and the wonderful topic that is chosen, Esperanza, a celebration of Hispanic heritage and hope. And I'm just so honored to be chatting with you. I appreciate it, and getting this message and this chat out to the U.S. Agency for Global Media.
Thank you so much. Can you share? We want to start off. Can you share your story with us?
Oh, I would love to. Yes, thank you. Well, I started my company, Uno Translations and Communications, almost 23 years ago. And I'd like to share with you just a little bit of my story as a Latina here in the United States. My father was from Argentina and my mother was from Ecuador. And they met in Washington, D.C. in 1960 at something that was called the Americanization School. And what that school did was it welcomed immigrants to it so that they could learn English and that they could have an understanding of the culture of the United States. And so my parents, they got married, and I grew up in Alexandria. And this was during a time of assimilation of immigrants. But my parents said, I don't care what you speak outside those doors, but in here, you're going to speak Spanish. So this was going against what was happening then, but they did me a tremendous favor because I became fully bilingual. When I started kindergarten, though, I didn't know English. I didn't know there was another language that existed. And so what happened was that by the time I went to first grade, I actually did learn it a lot over the summer with little friends outside. And it is the age when kids really pick up languages. And so I had Mrs. Cole, my first grade teacher, who I'll never forget, in Alexandria, Virginia, at Charles Barrett Elementary School, who spent a few extra moments with me. And I was able to catch up and learn English. And then what happened was that I, at some point, spoke more English than my parents. And I think this often happens with children of immigrant parents. And so I was often their interpreter. So they had health issues. I was there at the hospital, at the doctor's office, trying to explain and being the go-between, the interpreter for my parents and the medical field. And then what also happened when I was 10 is that I helped them buy their first home. And this was obviously a very big moment for my family to really feel like, you know, you're becoming a true American because you're buying property in the United States. So it was a big moment, and they needed me to help them communicate with the real estate agent. I understood what my father's monthly income was, what a fixed rate mortgage was. And luckily, they were just fixed rate mortgages there then and not anything more complicated. And so being so that was something that was very impactful for me in my life. That and I always feel like my parents, they probably were so happy that I could help them with the language, but also maybe felt a little bit of how, you know, just the difficulty that it was for them to get along in this country, and yet grateful that their daughter, their only child, could help them through these moments. Um, and you know, being from different countries, my parents spoke slightly different Spanish, because that's what happens, that as many countries as there are that are Spanish speaking in Latin America and Spain, everybody has a slightly different dialect. And so that was actually beneficial for me to hear the, you know, the different words that were said by my parents for the same object, because it in a way it also helped me have this translation company and to be very aware of the different dialects and language and communication and how important it is. I'll give you an example. I wanted to just explain that when my parents were dating, and my father said, "Oh, I'm going to take you to a boliche this evening." And so my mother prepared. Boliche in most countries means a bowling. And so she dressed casually. And so my father went to pick her up, and he was like, "Well, why are you dressed so casually?" And she said, "Because we're going bowling." And he said, "Oh, no, in Argentina, boliche means a nightclub."
Oh,
So, so, so that's an example. There are many other examples of communication and how important it is.
that's very interesting. I've heard that said several times in the Spanish speaking communities. They're like, "Well, my Spanish isn't as well as, it's not the same." So I'm glad you're helping us to understand the difference.
Yeah, good, good.
Thank
Thank you.
you.
hmm
So I don't know if you finished telling us your story. You still?
I'm happy to mention a couple of more things. Yeah.
It's exciting. I'm excited to talk to you about it. I know you talked about the importance of learning the difference in cultures and challenges involving and understanding the cultures.
Yes.
I see that at a very young age, you were able to learn that from within the household. Not
Mhm.
everyone has the opportunity to learn about different cultures or even understand that in the language, there's different interpretations among regions and cultures. So that's very interesting. But can you elaborate a little bit more on that for us?
Sure.
Share
Yeah.
things that we may can do to understand better the cultures.
Yeah. So so I want to say in terms of that, you know, the culture, the language, it really laid the foundation for the work that I do now. And I knew at a very young age the importance of being understood. You know, that was so important. And so that's something that I pride myself on now, is the fact that I see my business as a humanitarian mission, really, to be able to help be the bridge, right, between the different cultures and the different languages and the different countries, that so that they can understand each other. And for me, the fact that I was my parents' interpreter at such a young age is something that was made me who I am today, and I don't regret any of it, of course. But I don't want all kids to have to go through that, right? And so I feel that that's another big part of the reason I started my business. As an adult, I have embraced very much so a bicultural existence. Um, Although being born here, I grew up in a Latino silo in Alexandria, Virginia. Everything inside my home was the Spanish language, Spanish food, Spanish music. Everything was that culture. And then stepping outside was the different culture. So you learn to navigate that and embrace it. And I'm also very lucky that my children, who are grown adults, are fully bilingual. We only spoke Spanish at home when they were young, and they now are also teaching their children Spanish. And I just love that they fully embrace the Hispanic culture and are just very, very supportive of it and want their children to learn. And I am actually called Gramuelita. I have 5 grandchildren. Four,
Right.
yeah, four.
Congratulations.
It's so exciting. I have 4 grandsons and 1 granddaughter. And when my daughter was about to have her first child, she said, "What do you want to be called?" And so my first thought was actually Grammy. I like the idea of Grammy, but then I thought, whoa, what about abuelita, which is the Spanish word for grandmother? So I decided to put them together. I formed Gramuelita.
Amalita.
Yeah. So that's what my grandkids call me, believe it or not. They call me Gramuelita. Some of them will say just Lita. But I just love how they're like, oh, she's the grandmother that speaks Spanish, because I only speak Spanish to them.
Okay. Okay. That's interesting. I'm
Yeah.
excited to hear that. I have a sister-in-law who speaks fluent Spanish, and
Oh,
she did with her children. She spoke with her son and her daughter. The daughter is like, she's the new era. She just look at her blank, like, I don't know what she's talking about. And I'm like,
oh,
the son picked it up, the daughter didn't. She just refused.
oh, that
So
happens. Yeah,
yes. So I
yeah.
shared with her, how do you live in a household and they're speaking Spanish all the time? I mean, you don't know if they're talking, what they're talking about.
Right.
So I'm glad that even though your grandchildren are the next generation, that they're
Yeah,
willing to pick up and learn. That's exciting.
yeah.
And in your work with Uno Soul, I know that you work quite a bit with the community and doing outreach. Can
Mhm.
you share some of the ways that you can, recommendations that you've learned doing and talking to different people to help us to be more inclusive?
Yeah, yeah. Thank you so much for that question. Um, so during COVID, I'll just give a little tiny history around Uno Souls. But during COVID, I was just really called to start that endeavor, which to me, again, I mean, really, Uno Translations is a passion business, and Uno Souls is too. And what I wanted was to really highlight the beacons of light in the community, right? People who were doing things that were just so kind from the bottom of their hearts. And I just wanted to get that positive message out that even during such difficult and challenging moments, such as the pandemic, that there are ways to stay positive, to pull from our inner strength and just really do our best for ourselves, our family, our friends, and our community. So I really wanted to highlight that and to really have people realize there are ways that we can cope, and that there's hope and esperanza, and that that they're not alone. that, oh, these people are doing this to get through. Maybe I'll try that too. So I've there have been just dozens of chats, and I just have loved speaking with every single person because everybody has a light and everybody has a story, right?
Yes. Yes.
Yeah. So yeah.
I am so I'm at a loss for words.
Oh,
I'd like to thank you for helping to inspire that hope. And that's what our theme is today, this
yeah.
month. Esperanza,
Yes. Mhm.
inspiring hope. I told you I'm going to get it soon. I'm going to learn to roll my
Yes,
letters.
yes, you are. You are.
Definitely. I want to thank you for joining us today and for sharing your story. And I want to thank you for all the work that you're doing in the community,
Oh, thank
expiring
you.
hope.
Thank
I have
you.
one question. I would like to know
Yeah.
what's your takeaway. Also, I just want to mention to everyone, if I forget, that if you do have questions that you would like to ask, you can always feel free to put it in the chat box. I will monitor and we'll get back with you with follow up answers. So I
Absolutely.
appreciate you joining us today. But if you can give us one takeaway that we can have of how we can be more inclusive in the Hispanic community, what we can do as an individual to help broaden our minds and to understand the different cultures and be
Yeah.
more aware.
Yeah. Yeah. Thank you. Thank you for that question. And, you know, um, I just feel, inclusivity is just a huge topic. We could have a chat just around that, of course, um, because I really feel that inclusivity is embracing the fact that everyone has value to add, right? And I was listening to a TED talk by a lady named Aduke Onafowak, and I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I apologize.
You make me feel comfortable,
Right.
right?
Right. Yeah. And she's a diversity and inclusive coach. And she gives three things that we can do to feel to bring in and be aware of being inclusive. The first one, she says, is listen. Listen when people express their experiences, respect respect that. Just listen to them. You don't have to comment, you don't have to judge it, and just listen to understand their point of views. And number 2 is to understand your perspectives are not the only truths, right? Because all of us grow up with beliefs, but beliefs that are placed in us by our parents, by school, by our community, that we tend to remain in our circles. But instead, maybe just reaching out a little bit to not polarize ourselves, to just reach out a little bit to listen to and understand other perspectives. And the third suggestion that she gives is to create your own inclusion. So, find amazing life-changing experiences by developing and and looking at things from a different a different cultural lens, you know, and now she even says, look at social media. We tend to follow, read certain things that are within what we know. But what if we explored a little bit and listened and read things that we're not that familiar with? So I that really had an impact on me. I thought, wow, that's really things that are little steps that we can take that can really change things and expand our views.
Thank you. I love those suggestions. They're really in the line of the DNI community, which has
Mhm.
changed the name to diversity, equality, inclusion, and accessibility.
Yes.
So we want to keep our minds open, and you're so right. I've learned throughout, even with myself, doing that self check to say, hey, am I looking at this through my bias that is
Mhm.
maybe unconscious? Or
Mhm.
am I trying to keep a broad view to see how does the next person see it or how would they see it so that I can respond in a better way? And I want to take this opportunity to encourage everyone to be more inclusive and to inspire hope, no matter if it's Hispanic History Month, if it's Disability Awareness Month, whatever month it is, we can always find room to inspire hope. I want to thank you again for joining us. And I'm also would like for people to view Uno Souls.
Thank
I
you so
think
much,
it's
Sylvia.
a very, is there anything else that you want, any takeaways or anything else that you want to share to close out?
Well, I'm so grateful for this moment to chat with you, to chat with the U.S. Agency for Global Media during Hispanic Heritage Month. Um, I'm very honored, and I'm open to answering any questions that anybody may have. And please let me know. And the only thing is, if I could possibly give a quote, because I'm really big into quotes. And
Sure.
okay, great. So this is a quote by our President Barack Obama, and he said, "It doesn't matter who you are or where you come from or what you look like or who you love. It doesn't matter whether you're Black or white or Hispanic or Asian or Native American or young or old or rich or poor, able, disabled, gay or straight. You can make it here in America if you're willing to try."
Love it. Love
I
it.
just love that.
Definitely. So I want to ask, I thank you again. I want to tell everyone to please check out our workplace. You can always find our diversity and inclusion and special services. We're now going to be using hashtag diversity is our strength.
Mm.
And also this month we'll be using hashtag Hispanic heritage. Thank you again and goodbye everyone and see you next time.
Bye.